Hola chicos y chicas. In this video, we're going to take a look at the numbers 200 to 100,000. And you might be thinking, that's a really large spread of numbers. And it is. And you might also be thinking, how am I supposed to memorize all of those numbers in Spanish? Well, it's actually quite simple. You're going to use the concepts that you've learned from the numbers 0 to 199 and apply them to these numbers here. The only real new things you have to learn are the 100s themselves, 200, 500, 800, etc., and the word 1,000. We'll apply our old concepts to those new numbers, and we'll be able to say any number from 0 all the way to 999,000. So let's take a look, and we're going to have two examples, two separate sets of numbers, and we'll see if we can put these things together. Here's our first set. So let's take a look at our first number, 24, or 24. So with the number 24, we already know that we have three separate words here being put together into one word. We have 20, and then we have the E here, which is our and, connecting 20 and 4, all together in one word. The reason they're all connected in one word is because we are under 30 in our last two digits. When we're under 30, we tend to combine them into one word. Other examples of that you already know, a number like 16, 16, or a number like 27, 27, all one word. Now again, another number that we know, 124, we'll take a look at that one. So you can see here we use the word ciento because we are over 100, and then we have 24. Again, all one word. You'll notice we don't see the word E in there anywhere by itself because we are not over 30 in our last two digits. So keep that in mind. That's another one of our strategies we're going to use when we talk about numbers over 200. So let's take a look at one of those, 524. Or 524. With our number 524, 524, you'll notice that not really a whole lot has changed. 24 stays the same. Nothing's changed there because, again, we're still not over 30 in our last two digits. And 500, simply meaning 500, is not any different than ciento. It just is saying 500 instead of 100. We're not adding any extra words. So the same theory that we already know applies to larger numbers. Just say the hundreds place first. In this case, it's 500. And then add your last number. 24. 524. So what happens when we go over 999, when we get to 1,000? Let's take a look at the number 1,524. So the first thing that I'd like to point out here with the number over 1,000 is you can see there is a period here instead of a comma. That is not a typo. You'll remember that in Spanish, when we have numbers that are over 1,000, instead of the comma that we use in English, they'll use the decimal point or the period in Spanish. Keep it in mind. It's one of those things that's different between the languages, but it is an important thing to be able to recognize when talking about numbers. Now, you should be able to see something common appearing between all these numbers here. You'll notice that we have 24, 24, 24, 24. Nothing's really changing here. All we are doing is just simply adding another number to show what we want to say. So we still have our base of 524, 524. So that stays the same, and all we are doing is adding the 1. And this is the thousands now, so we'll add our thousands place first, which is the word mil. Mil means 1,000. It's just 1,000, so that's all we're going to say, is mil, 1,000. So we have 1,524 in three separate words. 1524. 1,524. Okay, so what happens if we have multiple thousands? You might already be able to figure out how we're going to do this. You can see a pattern developing here. So let's take a look at this one all the way spelled out. So you may have already been able to guess that all you have to do is just say how many thousands that you have. And in this case, we have 24,000, so we'll say 24,000, which altogether means 24,000. Now again, we're just adding another number. 24,000 what? 24,500, 500, and then 24, 24. So basically it's just one thing plus another to make our numbers. And hopefully you're thinking, okay, I get it, this is easy. Well, good. Hopefully it is. But let's just keep in mind that we still have these patterns to do. I want you to think of what 100,524 might be in Spanish. I want you to think about it on your notes here, jot it down somewhere, and see if you can anticipate what it might be before I write it down myself. And feel free to go ahead and pause the video for just a moment while you're writing that out on your paper. So, as you hopefully guessed here, all you have to say is how many thousands you have. And we have 100,000. So it would be 100,000. Again, 100 for 100 and 1000 for 1,000. 100,524. Okay, so hopefully you've recognized the pattern here. And now let's take a look what happens when we are over 30 in our last two digits and how we do these numbers. Again, you'll notice not much has changed here. So one thing that you'll remember here, now looking at our other set of numbers, 54 is over 30 in our last two digits, right? Over 30. So now we have to start using this word y. 54. Essentially, it's 50 and 4 is how that would be said overall. So keep that in mind, and now the rest of this should seem relatively easy from here on out. Our number 154 will be simply 150 and 4, which would be 154. And we also look at our number here, 954. We're just saying how many hundreds we have, 900, 9 hundreds, 54. Now you'll notice that the E is always coming between the last two numbers, which are the last two digits. We are not saying 954. Nope, not the case here. We don't want to include that. That E only comes between the last two digits. Now, there is one exception to our rule that I would like to point out, and here's our number 54,954. And you're thinking, but wait, you just said we can't have the E early on and at the end, right? Well, here's the case. We want to say 54, and we know the way to say 54 is with the 54. So keep in mind that if we want to say 54,000, we have to say 54,000. 54,000. How many? We have 54, and we know that this is the correct way to say 54. And then we just add the rest. 54,954. On your paper, I'd like to see if you can write out 100,954, and you'll remember that this is going to be just about the same as last time with that number 100,000. So finally, you can see that we have, again, 100,000. So we just say how many thousand? 100. 100,000. And then how many hundreds? 900. 900. And then finally, 54. Follow these patterns to write numbers that are a lot larger than what you're used to at this point. So you'll see that not a whole lot has changed from the numbers 0 to 199. We're essentially just adding things on to the front of our numbers depending on what we want to say, whether it's hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, or maybe even all the way up to 100,000. Let's try a few practice problems on your own. So I'd like you to take a couple minutes, pause the video, and try and write these numbers out as practice. See if you can practice getting them separated correctly, and as the numbers get larger, adding the correct number at the beginning. You'll notice that 76 is common in each of the numbers. So essentially we're just adding something in front in order to make it a larger number. So go ahead and practice this. Again, pause the video and you will see the answers on the next slide, but please pause the video. So here we have our responses to our practice numbers here. Hopefully you got 76 perfectly. You'll remember that we have 3 separate words here because we are over 30 in our 2 digits. 76, 776, 776. I would like to point something out here. Notice this sete, there's no spelling mistake there. We know that siete has the I in it, but in this case, this does not. Okay, 776. Notice how we just simply added our 700 to the front, which you can see right there. That's the only difference between 76 and 776. 3,776. Again, all we're doing is just adding the 3,000 to the front. Same thing with 15,000. And finally, 101,000. Notice there is no E here because we are not over 30 in that position. 101,776. One recommendation I have when working with numbers this large is to take your time, thinking about them and saying them. No reason to rush. Take your time and get each number correct. And then once you've practiced long enough, then you'll be able to say them quicker and understand them a lot quicker as well. So let's do one more brief practice, and this one will be a lot shorter. All I want you to do is write out the numbers themselves, the numerals. They're already spelled out for you, and I want you to tell me what they mean as just numbers. So 98, and you're going to write equals, and then write down the actual numbers themselves. Okay, so for example, if I have siete spelled out on my paper, I would write siete equals 7, and this is what I'm looking for from you is the number itself. Okay, so pause the video here, take a couple minutes, and write down what you think each of these written words means as a number. Also, here's a bonus one for you. 200,508. See if you can do that one. It's something over a number that we've talked about, but give it a shot. Y finalmente, aquí están las respuestas. 98, 98. 641, 641. 23,800, 23,800. Notice that we're using the decimal point here, not the comma. 69,312, 69,312. And finally, our bonus question here, 200,508. This is where we're at 200,000, so hopefully you figured that out. 508, 508. Notice there's no E here, okay? That's one of the things that we've learned. Overall, I hope you did well on your practice. If you have questions, you know how to get a hold of me. Suerte!